The Hebrew Bible, 5 books of Moses, Deuteronomy, chapter 28. And it shall be, if you truly heed the voice of the Lord your God, to do all his commands that I charge you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth, and all these blessings will come upon you and overtake you when you heed the voice of the Lord your God. Blessed you will be in the town, and blessed you will be in the field. Blessed the fruit of your womb, and the fruit of your soil, and the fruit of your beasts, the get of your herds, and the offspring of your flock. Blessed your basket and your herds and the offspring of your flock. Blessed your basket and your kneading pan. Blessed you will be when you come in, and blessed you will be when you go out. The Lord will render your enemies who rise against you, routed before you. On one way they will sally forth toward you, and on 7 ways they will flee before you. The Lord will ordain the blessing with you in your granaries and in all that your hand reaches. And he will bless you in the land that the Lord your God is about to give you. The Lord will set you up for him as a holy people, as he has sworn to you, when you keep the command of the Lord your God and walk in his ways. And all the peoples of the earth will see that the name of the Lord is called over you, and they will fear you. And the Lord will give you an extra measure for the good in the fruit of your womb, and in the fruit of your beasts, and in the fruit of your soil, on the soil that the Lord swore to your fathers to give you. The Lord will open for you his godly treasure, the heavens, to give your lands rain in its season, and to bless all your handiwork. And you will put many nations in your debt, and you will not be a debtor. The Lord will set you as head and not as tail, and you will be only above, and you will not be below, when you heed the command of the Lord your God, which I charge you today. You shall not swerve from all the words that I charge you today, to the right or to the left, to go after other gods, to worship them. And it shall be, if you do not heed the voice of the Lord your God, to do all his commands and his statutes that I charge you today, all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. Cursed you will be in the town, and cursed you will be in the field. Cursed your basket and your kneading pan. Cursed the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your soil, the get of your herds and the offspring of your flock. Cursed you will be when you come in, and cursed you will be when you go out. The Lord will send against you blight and panic and disaster in all that your hand reaches that you do, until you are destroyed, and until you perish swiftly because of the evil of your acts, as you will have forsaken me. The Lord will make the plague cling out to you until he wipes you out from the face of the soil to which you are coming to take hold of it. The Lord will strike you with consumption, and with fever, and with inflammation, and with burning, and with desiccation, and with emaciation, and with jaundice, and they will pursue you till you perish. And your heavens that are over your head will be bronze, and the earth that is under you iron. The Lord will turn your lands rain to dust, and dirt from the heavens will come down upon you until you are destroyed. The Lord will render you routed before your enemies. On 1 way you will sally forth toward him, and on 7 ways you will flee before him, and you will be a horror to all the kingdoms of the earth, and your carcass will become food for the birds of the heavens and for the beasts of the earth, with none to make them afraid. The Lord will strike you with the burning rash of Egypt, and with hemorrhoids, and with boils, and with scabs, from which you will not be able to be healed. The Lord will strike you with madness, and with blindness, and with confounding of the heart. And you will go grope at noon, and the blind man gropes in the darkness, and you will not make your ways prosper, and you will be only exploited and robbed, always with no rescuer. A woman will be betrothed, and another man will beat her. A house you will build, and you will not dwell in it. A vineyard you will plant, and you will not enjoy its fruit. Your ox will be slaughtered before your eyes, and you will not eat it. Your donkey will be robbed from you, and you will not come back to you. Your sheep will be given to your enemies, and you will have no rescuer. Your sons and your daughters will be given to another people, with your own eyes seeing and wasting away from them all day long, and your hand will be powerless. The fruit of your soil and all your enterprise, the people that you knew not will eat up, and you will be only exploited and crushed always. And you will be crazed, and by the sight of your eyes that you will see, the Lord will strike you with evil, burning rash on the knees and on the thighs. You will not be able to be cured, from the sole of your foot to your pate. The Lord will lead you, and your king, whom you set up over you, to a nation that you knew not, neither you nor your fathers, and you will worship their other gods, wood and stone, and you will become a derision, byword, and adage among all the peoples, where the Lord will drive you. Much seed the field will bring forth, and little will you gather, for the locust will consume it. Vineyards you will plant and work, but wine you will not drink and will not store up, for the worm will eat them. Olive trees you will have throughout your territory, but no oil will you rub on, for your olives will drop away. Sons and daughters you will beget, but you will not have them, for they will go off in captivity. All your trees and the fruit of your soil and the grasshopper will despoil. The sojourner who is in your midst will rise up high above you, and you will go down far below. He will put you in debt, and you will not put him in debt. He will become the head, and you will become the tail. And all these curses will come upon you and pursue you and overtake you until you are destroyed. For you will have not heeded the voice of the Lord your God to keep his commands and his statutes which he charged you. And they will be sign and portent in you and in your seed for all time, inasmuch as you will not have served the Lord your God in joy and with a good heart. Out of an abundance of all things you will serve your enemies, whom the Lord will send against you in hunger and in thirst and in nakedness, and in the lack of all things, and he will put an iron yoke on your neck until you are destroyed. The Lord will carry against you a nation from afar, from the end of the earth, as the eagle swoops, a nation whose tongue you will not understand, and a fierce-faced nation that will show no favorable face to an old man, and will not pity a lad, and he will eat from the fruit of your beasts and the fruit of your soil until you are destroyed, as you will not leave you grain, wine, and oil, the get of your herds, and the offspring of your flocks, until he makes you perish. And he will besiege you in all your gates until your high and fortified walls, in which you trust, come down throughout your land, and he will besiege you in all your gates throughout your land which the Lord your God gave you. And you will eat the fruit of your womb, the flesh of your sons and your daughters, whom the Lord your God gave you, in the siege and in the straits in which your enemy will press you, the tender and delicate man among you. His eyes will be cast mainly on his brother, and on the wife of his bosom, on the remnant of his children that he will have left, not to give to a single one of them from his children's flesh that he will eat, because he will have nothing left in the siege and in the straits in which your enemy will press you in your gates. The tender and delicate woman among you, who was not ventured to see the sole of her foot on the ground from delicacy, and from the tenderness her eye will be cast mainly on the husband of her bosom, and on her son, and on her daughter, and on her afterbirth coming out from between her legs, and on her children whom she will bear, for whom she will eat them in the lack of all things, and in secret, in the siege, and in the straits, in which your enemy will press you in your gates, if you do not keep to do all the words of his teaching written in his book, to fear the solemn and fearsome name, the Lord your God. The Lord will make your plagues and the plagues of your seed astounding great, and relentless plagues, evil and relentless illnesses. And he will bring back to you all the ailments of Egypt which you dreaded, and they will cling to you. What's more, every illness and every plague that is not written in this book of teaching, the Lord will bring you down upon you until you are destroyed. You will remain a scant few instead of your being like the stars of the heavens in multitude, for you will not have heeded the voice of the Lord your God. And it shall be as the Lord exalted over you to do well with you and to multiply you, so will the Lord exalt over you to make you perish and destroy you, and you will be torn from the soil to which you are coming to take hold of it. And the Lord will scatter you among all the peoples from one end of the earth to the other, and you will worship there other gods that you did not know, neither you nor your fathers, wood and stone. And among those nations you will have no quiet, and the sole of your foot will have no resting place, and the Lord will give you there a quaking heart and a wasting away of the eyes and an anguished spirit. Your life will dangle before you, and you will be afraid night and day, and will have no faith. And in your life, in the morning you will say, would that it were evening, and in the evening you will say, would that it were morning. From your heart's fright, which you will bear freed, and from the sight of your eyes that you will see, and the Lord will bring you back to Egypt in ships on the way that I said to you. You shall not see it again, and you will put yourselves up for sale there to your enemies as male slaves and slave girls, and there will be no buyer. These are the words of the covenant that the Lord charged Moses to seal with the Israelites in the land of Moab, besides the covenant that he sealed with them at Horeb. Chapter 29. And Moses called to all Israel and said to them, you have seen all that the Lord did before your own eyes in the land of Egypt to Pharaoh, and to all his servants, and to all his land. Yes, and that your own eyes have seen those great signs and portents, but the Lord has not given you a heart to know, and eyes to see, and ears to hear until this day. And I led you 40 years through the wilderness. Your cloaks did not wear out upon you, and your sandal did not wear out upon your foot. Bread you did not eat, and wine and strong drink you did not drink, so that you might know that I am the Lord your God. And you came to this place, and Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, king of the Bashan, sallied forth to meet us in battle, and we struck them down, and we took their land, and we gave it in estate to the Reubenite, and to the Gadite, and to the half-tribe of the Manassite. And you shall keep the words of this covenant, and do them in order, that you may prosper in all that you do. You are stationed here today, all of you, before the Lord your God, your heads, your tribes, your elders, and your overseers, every man of Israel, your little ones, your wives, and your sojourner, who is in the midst of your camps, from the hewer of your wood to the drawer of your water, from you to pass into the covenant of the Lord your God, and into his oath that the Lord your God is to seal with you today, in order to raise you up from him today as a people. And he will be for you a God, as he spoke to you, and as he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. And not with you alone do I seal this covenant and this oath, but with him who is here standing with us this day before the Lord our God, and with him who is not here with us this day. For you yourselves know how we dwelt in the land of Egypt, and how we passed through the midst in the midst of the nation through which you passed, and you saw their abominations and their foulness, wood and stone, silver and gold that were with them. Should there be among you a man or a woman or a clan or a tribe whose heart turns away from the Lord our God to go worship the gods of those nations, should there be among you a root bearing fruit of hemlock and wormwood, it shall be, when he hears the words of his oath, and deems himself blessed in his heart, saying, It will be well with me, though I go in my heart's obduracy in order to sweep away the moist with parched, the Lord shall not want to forgive him for them. The Lord wrath and his jealousy smolder against that man. And all the oath that is written in this book shall come down upon him, and the Lord shall wipe out his name from under the heavens, and the Lord shall divide him off for evil from all the tribes of Israel, according to all the oaths of the covenant written in this book of teaching. And a later generation will say, Your children will rise up, after you, and a stranger who will come from a distant land, and will see the blows against this land and its ills with which the Lord afflicts it, brimstone and salt, all the land and burning. It cannot be sown, and it cannot flourish, and no grass will grow in it, like the overturning of Sodom and Gomorrah, Admah and Zeboim, with which the Lord overturned in his wrath and in his anger. All these nations will say, For what has the Lord done to this land? What is this great smoldering wrath? And they will say, For their having abandoned the covenant of the Lord God of their fathers, which he sealed with them when he brought them out of the land of Egypt, and they went and worshipped other gods and bowed to them, gods that they did not know and that he did not apportion to them. And the Lord's wrath flared against that land to bring upon it all the curse written in this book. And the Lord tore them from upon their soil in wrath and in anger and in great fury, and flung them into another land, and as on this day. Things hidden are for the Lord our God, and things revealed for us and for our children forever, to do all the words of this teaching. And it shall be, chapter 30, when all these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse that I have set before you, that your heart shall turn back among all the nations to which the Lord your God will make you to stray. And you shall turn back to the Lord your God and heed his voice, as all that I charge you today, you and your children, with all your heart and with all your being. And the Lord your God shall turn back your former state and have mercy upon you, and he shall turn back and gather you in from all the peoples to which the Lord your God has scattered you. Should your strayed one be at the edge of the heavens, from there shall the Lord your God gather you, and from there shall he take you, and the Lord your God shall bring you to the land that your fathers took hold of, and you shall take hold of it, and he shall do well with you, and make you more multitudinous than your fathers. And the Lord your God shall circumcise your heart and the heart of your seed, to love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your being, for your life's sake. And the Lord your God shall set all these imprecations upon your enemies and your foes who pursued you, and you shall turn back and heed the Lord's voice, and you shall do all his commands which I charge you today. And the Lord your God shall give you an extra measure for the good in all your handiwork, in the fruit of your womb, and in the fruit of your beasts, and in the fruit of your soil, for the Lord shall turn back to exalt over you for good, as he exalted over your fathers, when you heed the voice of the Lord your God, to keep his commands and his statutes written in this book of teaching, when you turn back to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your being. For this command which I charge you today is not too wondrous for you, nor is it distant. It is not in the heavens to say, Who will go up for us to the heavens, and to take it for us, and let us hear it, that we may do it? And it is not beyond the sea to say, Who will cross over us beyond the sea, and take it for us, and let us hear it, that we may do it? but the word is very close to you, in your mouth and in your heart to do it. See, I have set before you today life and good and death and evil, that I charge you today to love the Lord your God, to go in his ways, and to keep his commands and his statutes and his laws. And you shall live and multiply, and the Lord your God shall bless you in the land into which you are coming to take hold of it. And if your heart turns away, and you do not listen, and you go astray, and bow to other gods, and worship them, I tell you today that you shall surely perish. You shall not long endure on the soil to which you are about to cross the Jordan, to come there to take hold of it. I call to witness for you today the heavens and the earth, life and death. I set before you the blessing and the curse, and you shall choose life, so that you may live, you and your seed, to love the Lord your God, to heed his voice, and to cling to him. For he is your life and your length of days, to dwell on the soil which the Lord your God swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give to them. Chapter 31. And Moses finished speaking these words to all Israel. And he said to them, 120 years old I am today. I can no longer sell you forth and come in, and the Lord has said to me, you shall not cross this Jordan. The Lord your God, He it is who crosses over before you. He shall destroy these nations before you, and you shall dispossess them. Joshua, he it is who is to cross over before you, and as the Lord has spoken, and the Lord will do to them as he did to Sihon and to Og, the kings of the Amorite, and to their land, when he destroyed them, and the Lord will give them before you, and you shall do to them according to all the command that I have charged you. Be strong and stalwart. Do not fear and do not dread them. For the Lord your God, he it is who goes with you. He will not let go of you, and he will not forsake you. And Moses called to Joshua and said to him before the eyes of all Israel, be strong and stalwart, for you will come with this people into the land with the Lord, which the Lord swore to their fathers to give to them, and you will grant it to them in a state. And the Lord, he it is who goes before you. He will be with you and will not forsake you. You shall not fear, and you shall not be dismayed. And Moses wrote this teaching and gave it to the priests, the sons of Levi, who bear the ark of the covenant, of the Lord's covenant, and to all the elders of Israel. And Moses charged them, saying, at the end of 7 years, in the set season of the sabbatical year of the festival of huts, when all Israel comes to appear before the presence of the Lord your God in the place that he chooses, you shall read this teaching before all Israel in their hearing. Assemble the people, the men and the women and the little ones, and your sojourner who is within your gates, so that they may hear, and so that they may learn, and they will fear the Lord your God, and to keep to do all the words of this teaching. And your children who know not will hear and learn to fear the Lord your God, and all the days that you live on the soil to which you are about to cross the Jordan to take hold of. And the Lord said to Moses, look, your time to die has drawn near. Call Joshua and station yourselves in the tent of meeting, that I may charge him. And Moses and Joshua went and stationed themselves in the tent of meeting. And the Lord appeared in the tent in a pillar of cloud, and the pillar of cloud stayed over the entrance to the tent. And the Lord said to Moses, look, you are about to lie with your fathers, and this people will rise and go whoring after the alien gods of the land, into the midst of which they are coming, and they will forsake me and break my covenant that I have sealed with them. And my wrath will flare against them on that day, and I shall forsake them and hide my face from them. And they will become fodder, and many evils and troubles will find them, and they will say on that day, Is it not because our God is not in our midst that these evils have found us? And as for me, I will surely hide my face on that day for all the evil that they have done, for they turn to other gods. And now write you this song and teach it to the Israelites. Put it in their mouths, so that this stone will be a witness against the Israelites. When I bring them to the soil that I swore to their fathers, flowing with milk and honey, and they eat and are sated, and go sleep and turn to other gods, and worship them, and despise me, and break my covenant, it shall be when many evils and troubles find them. This stone shall testify before them and witness, for it shall not be forgotten in the mouth of their seed that I knew their devisings that they do today before I brought them into the land which I vowed. And Moses wrote down the stone on that day and taught it to the Israelites. And he charged Joshua, son of Nun, and said, Be strong and stalwart, for you will bring the Israelites into the land which he vowed to them, and I shall be with you. And it happened, when Moses finished writing the words of this teaching in a book to their very end, Moses charged the bearers of the ark of the Lord's covenant, saying, Take this book of teaching and place it alongside the ark of the covenant of the book of the Lord your God, and it shall be there as witnessed against you. For I myself have known your rebelliousness and your stiff-neck. Look, while I am still alive with you today, you have rebelled against the Lord, and how much more after my death. Assemble to me all the elders of your tribes and your overseers, and let me speak in your hearing these words, that I may call to witness against you to the heavens and the earth. For I know after my death that you will surely act ruinously and swerve from the way which I charge you, and the evil will befall you in the latter days. For you will do evil in the eyes of the Lord, to vex him with your handiwork. And Moses spoke in the hearing of all the assembly of Israel the words of this song to their very end. Chapter 32. Give ear, O heavens, that I may speak, and let the earth hear my mouth's utterances. Let my teaching drop like rain, my saying flow like dew, like showers on the green, and like cloudbursts on the grass. For the name of the Lord do I call. Hail greatness for our God, the rock. His acts are perfect, for all his ways are justice. A steadfast God without wrong, true and right is he. Did he act ruinously? No, his sons the fall, a perverse and twisted brood. To the Lord will you requite those base and unwise people. Is he not your father, your shaper? He made you and set you unshaken. Remember the days of old, give thought to the years of times past. Ask your father, that he may tell you, your elders, that they may say to you, when Elion gave estates to nations, when he split up the sons of man, he set out the boundaries of peoples by the numbers of the sundry gods. Yes, the Lord's portion and his people, Jacob the parcel of his estate. He found him in the wilderness land, in the waste of the howling desert. He encircled him, gave mind to him, watched him like the apple of his eye, like an eagle who rouses his nest. Over his fledglings he hovers, he spread his wings, he took him, he bore him on his pinion. The Lord alone did lead him. No alien god by his side. He set him down on the heights of the land, and he ate the bounty of the field. He suckled him honey from the crag, and oil from the flinty stone, cattle's curd and milk of the flocks, with the fat of lambs and rams of Bashan and he-goats, with the fat of kernels of wheat and the blood of the grape. You drank as mead, and Jeshurun fattened and kicked. You fattened, you thickened, grew gross, and abandoned the God who had made him, and despised the rock of his rescue. He provoked him with strangers, with abhorrence he did vex him. They sacrificed to the demons, the ungods, gods they had not known, new ones just come lately, whom their fathers had not feared. The rock your bearer you neglected, you forgot, you God who gave you birth. The Lord saw, and he spurned from the vexation of his sons and his daughters. And he said, Let me hide my face from them. I shall see what their end will be. For a wayward brood are they, children with no trust in them. They provoke me with an ungod. They vexed me with their empty things, and I will provoke them with an unpeople, with a base nation I will vex them. For fire has flared in my nostrils and blazed to Sheol down below, eaten up earth and its yield, and kindled the mountains' foundations. I will sweep down evils upon them, my arrows spending against them. Wasted with famine, withered by blight and bitter scourge, and the fang of beasts will I send against them, with the venom of creepers in the dust outside, with a sword bereaved, and within chambers terror, both youth and virgin, suckling and gray-haired man. I would have said, let me wipe them out, let me take their name, seize among men. And had I not feared the foe's provocation, lest their enemies dissemble, lest they say, our hand was high, and not the Lord has wrought all this. For a nation lost in counsel are they, there is no understanding among them. Were they wise, they would give no mind to this, understanding their latter days. Oh, how could one chase 1,000, or two, put 10,000 to fight? Flight had not their rock handed them over? Had the Lord not given them up? For not like our rocks is their rock, our enemies would be gods. Yes, Sodom's vine is their vine from the vineyards of Gomorrah. Their grapes are grapes of poison, death, bitter cluster they have, venom of vipers their wine, and pitiless poison of asps. Look, it is concealed with me, sealed up in my stores. Mine is vengeance, requited at the moment their foot will slip, for their day of disaster is close. What is readied then swiftly comes. Yes, the Lord champions his people. For his servants he shows change of heart. When he sees that power is gone, no ruler or helper remains, he will say, where are their gods, the rock in whom they sheltered, who ate the fat of their offerings, drank their libation wine? Let them arise and help you, be over you as a shield. See now that I am he, and no God is by my side. I put to death and give life. I smashed and I also heal, and none rescues from my hand. When I raise to the heavens my hand and say, as I live forever, when I harm the flash of my sword, and my hand takes hold of justice, I will bring back vengeance to my foes and my enemies. I will requite, I will make my shafts drunk with blood, and my sword will eat up flesh from the blood of the fallen and captive, from the flesh of the long-haired foe. Nations, O gladden his people, for his servant's blood will he avenge, and vengeance turn back on his foes, and purge his soil, his people. And Moses came and spoke all the words of this song in the hearing of the people, he and Hosea son of Nun. And Moses finished speaking all these words to all Israel, and he said to them, set your hearts upon all these words, with which I bear witness against you today, that you charge your sons with them to keep to do all the words of this teaching. For it is not an empty thing for you, but it is your life. And through this thing you will long endure on the soil to which you are about to cross the Jordan to take hold of there. And the Lord spoke to Moses on that very day, saying, go up to this Mount Abarim, Mount Nebo, which is in the land of Moab by Jericho, and see the land of Canaan that I am about to give to the Israelites as a holding, and die on the mountain where you are going up, and be gathered to your kin, as Aaron your brother died in Hor, the mountain when was gathered to his kin, because you too betrayed me in the midst of the Israelites through the waters of Meribah Kadesh in the wilderness of Zin, because you did not sanctify me in the midst of the Israelites. For from the far side you will see the land, but you will not come there to the land that I give to the Israelites. And this is the blessing, chapter 33, that Moses, the man of God, blessed the Israelites before his death. And he said, the Lord from Sinai came, and from Seir he dawned upon them. He shone from Mount Paran, and appeared from Rebioth Kadesh. From his right hand firebolts for them. Yes, lover of peoples is he, all his holy ones in your hand, and they are flung down at your feet. He bears your utterances. A teaching did Moses charge us, a heritage for Jacob's assembly. And he became a king of Jeshurun. When the chiefs of the people gathered all together the tribes of Israel, let the Reuben live and not die, to his manfolk be but few. And this is for Judah, and said, Hear, Lord, Judah's voice. And to his people you shall bring him. With his hands he strives for himself. A help against his foes you shall be. And for Levi he said, Your Tumim and your Urim, for your devoted man, whom you tested at Massah, you disrupted with him at the waters of Meribah, who says of his father and mother, I have not seen them, and his brothers he recognized not, and his sons he did not know. For they kept your pronouncement, and your covenant they preserved. They shall teach your laws to Jacob, and your teaching to Israel. They shall put incense in your nostrils, and whole offerings in your altar. Bless, O Lord, his abundance and his handiwork. Look on with favor. Smash the loins of his foes, that his enemies rise no more. For Benjamin he said, The Lord's friend, may he dwell securely. He shelters him constantly, and between his shoulders he dwells. And for Joseph he said, Blessed of the Lord and his land, from the bounty of heavens, from dew and from the deep that cloud couches below, and from the bounty of yield of the sun, and from the bounty of crop of the moon, and from the top of the age-old mountains, from the bounty of hills everlasting, and from the bounty of earth and its fullness, and the favor of the bush dwelling one. May these come on the head of Joseph, on the brow of him set apart from his brothers, his firstborn bull in his glory, wild ox antlers, his horns with the gores, peoples altogether, the ends of the earth. And they are the myriads of Ephraim, and they are the Manasseh thousands. And for Jebulun he said, Rejoice when you go out, and Issachar in your tents, peoples they call to the mountain. There they sacrifice offerings of triumph. For the plenty of seas do they suckle, and the hidden treasures of sand. And for Gad he said, Blessed he who enlarges Gad, like a lion he dwells, and tears apart arm, even pate, and he saw the prime for himself. For there is the lot of the hidden chieftain, and the heads of the people came. He performed the Lord's benefaction and his judgments for Israel. And for Dan he said, Dan is a lion's whelp, he springs forth from the Bashan. And for Naphtali he said, Naphtali is sated with favor and filled with the blessing of the Lord to the west, and the south his possession. And for Asher he said, Blessed among his sons in Asher, may he be favored of his brothers, and bathe in oil his foot. Iron and bronze your gate bowls. As your days, your might, there is none like the God of Jeshurun, riding through heavens as your help, and in his triumph through the skies your refuge, the God of old, from beneath the arms everlasting. He drove from before you the enemy, and he said, Destroy. And Israel dwelt securely untroubled, Jacob's abode, in a land of grain and wine, its heavens to drop dew. Happy are you, Israel. Who is like you? A people rescued by the Lord, your shield of help, and the sword of your triumph. Your enemies cover before you, and you on their backs will tread. Chapter 34. Moses went up from the steppes of Moab to Mount Nebo, to the top of Pisgah, which faces Jericho, and the Lord let him see all the land from the Gilead as far as Dan, and all Naphtali, and the land of Ephraim and Manasseh, and all the land of Judah as far as the hinder sea, and the Negeb, and the plain of the valley of Jericho, town of the palm trees as far as Zoar. And the Lord said to him, This is the land that I swore to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, saying, To your seed I will give it. I have let you see it with your own eyes, but you shall not cross over there. And Moses, the Lord's servant, died there in the land of Moab by the word of the Lord. And he was buried in the glen in the land of Moab, opposite to Beth-peor. No man has known his burial place to this day. And Moses was 120 years old when he died. His eye had not grown bleary, and his sap had not fled. And the Israelites keened for Moses in the steppes of Moab 30 days. And the days of keening and mourning For Moses came to an end, and Joshua son of Nun was filled with the spirit of wisdom, for Moses had laid his hands upon him, and the Israelites heeded him and did as the Lord had charged Moses. But no prophet again arose in Israel like Moses, whom the Lord knew face to face, with all the signs and the portents which the Lord sent him to do in the land of Egypt, to Pharaoh and to all his servants and to all his land, and with all the strong hand and with all the great fear that Moses did before the eyes of all Israel. End of the Hebrew Bible, the 5 books of Moses, Deuteronomy chapter 34. End of the 5 books of Moses.